anyone else have to pee all the time while on prednisone. Frequent urination from prednisone is a rare side effect that a lot of us end up having. A prednisone warrior recently reached out and sent me this message, and after I read it, I'm going to explain what this condition is, this side effect, who gets it, what to expect, and what the recovery time will be like. All right? She reached out and said, "Hi, Dr. Megan. I am in Canada and a retired family physician. I want to say how you have been so very helpful with all the information, videos, personal history, etc. Over the last 12 to 18 months, I've been taking prednisone for PMR and tapered to a final dose at the end of June 2025. I have one question that no publication or person seems to be able to answer up here. For the past 6 weeks, I've had steroid-induced diabetes insipidus. Sleep is somewhat hard to come by. Kidney function is normal, and I do not have elevated glucose levels. Question, is this temporary? For how long? Or is this permanent? I should mention that my serum cortisol is 50% back to normal max levels. I appreciate your expertise. A rheumatologist had never heard of DI. Thank you for your great help over the last 12 to 18 months. Sincerely, Canadian doctor." Keeping her name private. Okay. So I'm going to explain what diabetes insipidus is, talk about other frequent urination with prednisone issues, and then finally answer, is this permanent? So diabetes insipidus is different than diabetes mellitus. So this is a type of urination issue. Both of them are about urination. Diabetes mellitus is like the type of diabetes most people are referring to when they talk about diabetes mellitus or diabetes. And the mellitus actually means sweet in Latin. And so it's when somebody has sweet urine, and that's because there's sugar coming out in the urine. There's so much sugar in the blood that the kidneys can't keep it out. And the old way to diagnose diabetes was by tasting the urine. Oh, there's sugar in your urine, so you have diabetes. Well, this is diabetes insipidus. This is just lots of water, but we don't really know why. It's just rapidly happening, and then there's not extra sugar in there. It's about water balance and having extra thirst and then extra urine. It's related to how the kidneys handle water. So how would prednisone or other steroids cause diabetes insipidus? Well, prednisone is mimicking our body's naturally occurring hormone called cortisol, and cortisol has responsibilities with water balance. And there's lots of hormones involved in water balance, like antidiuretic hormone, vasopressin, and sometimes taking the pill can lead to an imbalance of these, leading to like excessive thirst and frequent urination. When I personally took prednisone, I would have these times where it felt like I could pee for 5 minutes straight. Like, not every day, but every so often, it was like, wow, I just lost 5 pounds of just urine. Like, how did that happen? It was as if my body was building up all this extra fluid, and then the kidneys finally caught up and they're like, oh, sorry, forgot we had a job to do, and finally processed all of that fluid. And I would flush out quite a bit all at once. And it was just this weird, unpredictable, just often a lot of urine. And then I was purposefully trying to drink water and not other beverages at the time. So I don't recall having excessive thirst, but I had weird water balance issues too, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't say I had diabetes insipidus, but prednisone does cause frequent urination or what seemed to me excessive urination. And that can definitely happen. But what about full-blown diabetes insipidus? Well, there's a few case reports published in the literature of steroids causing this issue, prednisone leading to diabetes insipidus in an individual. But there's not like population-wide studies saying, oh, this percentage of people are going to get this side effect. So it's pretty rare. And that's probably why the rheumatologist had never heard of it. But what the studies do show is that steroid-induced diabetes insipidus is almost always temporary. So it's because the steroids are suppressing your natural hormone production. And then as you start making those hormones naturally yourself, it tends to get back in balance. Now, in your situation, this may not be completely true, and there could be other diagnoses that are possible. Because you said this happened after stopping prednisone, I would have anticipated these symptoms while on prednisone as instead of a, hey, is this a normal recovery? Because normally it would be getting better instead of at this point not, like it's showing up later on. And so, I mean, there's always incontinence issues that I would definitely recommend talking to a urologist about, maybe your OBGYN. Those other doctors might be able to help pinpoint other causes. If you're self-diagnosing, sometimes we're wrong. I've been wrong. And so it's okay to seek an actual diagnosis from a specialist in this field to make sure that it really is diabetes insipidus. So I want to make sure you didn't avoid that step and just attributing it to the drug, because it could be the drug, and the drug does cause frequent urination. But is it truly diabetes insipidus? I don't know. So let's get back to recovery. So you said that your adrenal glands are back to 50%, and that's great news that you're actually recovering. And so maybe once it gets back up to 100%, then your urinary issues will also get back to 100% of normal. As the adrenal function returns, so does the ADH or antidiuretic hormone function. Your kidneys kind of kick back in and get the right signals from the cortisol system as the adrenals recover. For most people, recovery can take weeks to months, but recovery of the adrenal system is kind of unpredictable. For most people, it's usually around 3 months, but for others, it can be 6 to 12 months or even longer. So since you tapered off in June and right now it's August, you're probably still in the recovery phase of your adrenal system. So hopefully there is more recovery to look forward to, more normality to anticipate. So again, I want to make sure you know that this is an extremely rare side effect. Most people don't get it, and permanent damage is even more rare. It usually recovers. So what are some tips for managing diabetes insipidus symptoms? So you want to stay well hydrated, but you don't want to overdo it on the water. Excessive amounts of water can actually worsen your symptoms by diluting out the sodium. That can lead to an imbalance of electrolytes in your system, which is even more potentially dangerous. And we wouldn't want you to land in the hospital with hypovolemic issues or hypervolemic. We don't want any complications to the balance of your water just because of drinking water, like excessively. So definitely work closely with your doctor to make sure your electrolytes are balanced. Getting your blood checked to make sure your sodium, potassium, all those electrolytes are right in balance is really important. If this is a long-term thing that's not going away, there are medications that can help with diabetes insipidus, like desmopressin, which is also called DDAVP. It can temporarily help regulate your water balance. And then as far as sleeping issues, I get it. Like, I remember being pregnant and having to wake up to pee. Like, having to urinate does not lead to good sleep. Like, those are really hard things that just counteract each other. So the typical tips I'm going to give you are try to limit water consumption the last several hours before bedtime. Definitely limit caffeine consumption because that can also worsen your water balance. And then if your symptoms persist beyond a few months, then definitely go see a specialist about this. So I hope this answered your question about frequent urination from prednisone. And if you have other symptoms of prednisone or side effects of prednisone that you're wondering, how can I recover from these? What things can I personally do to help my body recover fully from taking prednisone? I have a prednisone checklist, and it includes my top tips for how you can take care of your health while on prednisone. The specific things that you can do to improve your health and minimize the consequences of taking steroids. Just click the link below to download that now. Signing off as Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.